Hi, thanks for watching this video. This video is to show people how to install the software for the HLP range of data loggers. Now we sell quite a lot of these data loggers. They're very popular in the food industry and also in the pharmaceutical industry, medical, vaccine storage, the whole works. The only issue we ever get with the products are that the installing of the software. And you do need to install the software because they use a computer, a Windows computer, to get the data and draw pretty graphs and make the data look like it's perfect, so that whatever's happening in your fridge you can find out and you can see it, and you can store it for your records, so you can have it stored on a computer, or you can print graphs so you can show anybody who's interested, whether it be the TGA or if you're a restaurant or a food storage facility, you can save that data for your food safety inspector or your HACCP system, so anything like that. So first thing is, we're going to show you how to install the software. Today we're going to use probably one of our cheapest products, but the principle is just the same. This is the EasyLog kit. Kit comes complete with a logger, interface and software all in the one unit, in the one little box. So first thing is, don't rush. Let's get your computer happening. Let's make sure your computer has got Windows on it. Let's make sure that it's not on a big network system where you don't have any administration rights. So you've got to make sure you can actually install software on it. This is just a PC running Windows 7. Very popular, very common, simple. So if you've got the rights and you know a little bit about computer and you've got an administration right so you can install software, that's great. So first thing is, let's open the box, see what's inside. Let's kick it all out here. Right, now we've got a bunch of stuff here. First thing we've got here is the data logger. Now the data logger is this particular one. There's lots of different types, they all work the same. This is a small unit. You can see it fits in the palm of your hand. Now you've got to install the battery first. To install the battery, 4 screws out the back. They're stainless steel screws. Take them out, put the battery in, put the screws back on. Make sure the gasket is still pretty good and you've got it in the right spot. It's not sticking out. You haven't left it off. So when you've done that, you can test it by just pushing the start button and you'll see that it will actually display the temperature. So that just lets you know that you've got the battery in the right way. Great, you've passed step 1. Okay, so that's the logger. Now, we don't need that for a minute. We'll just put that aside there. Now, another thing in here is instructions. Well, no one ever looks at them, so let's forget that. Oh, what's this bit? Now, this bit is the computer interface. Oh, it's got a sticker on it. Sticker says, do not plug in before you install the software and read instructions first. Oh, well, they seem like they really want me to do that. So I think we'll do that. Right. Instructions. Oh dear, yes. Well, there's not too many. There's only 2 pages, and it's all fairly straightforward. So the main thing that people are going to get problems with is, do not connect the interface to the computer until the software is installed. And that's why we've put a sticker over the unit so that you can't pull the little cap off to plug it into the computer before the software is installed. Okay, well, let's go. Let's do that then. That's not too bad. Software comes on a disk. Now I'll put the disk into the computer. Won't be a sec. Let's just do that. Put disk in computer, close door of disk drive. Now, the computer, depending on how it's set up, will recognise that we've put a disk in, and it should come up with something on the screen. So just give it a minute to see if it brings up the menu. 90% of computers do. Yes, so we've come up with a menu and it says install or run program. Now you've got run auto run or open folder to view files. If it comes up with that, all you do is click on the run auto run, because we've put a program on the disk that will save you a lot of time and effort. Now that should bring up a menu. So we'll just wait for a minute. Look, this is not a very powerful computer, so it's quite slow. So it's just running the CD now, and it should come up with a menu. Here it is. Okay, so this is another menu. Now, if your interface has come with a USB, which is a little tiny one, which 99% of all computers have these days, then you'll firstly need to install the USB driver. Now, on this screen, we have install software, manual, browse CD, exit, or to the left, we've got install USB. So this is important. You must do this first. So we go to install USB and click it. And then we'll give you a picture of the interface. So this is the interface that we're using here. And you'll see that there's a picture on the screen there, which is the same as this one. If you have a different interface, which is this one, that's fine. Both of these items, these types of interface, use the same USB driver. So then you just select which version of Windows you are running. So we've got Windows 98, which is an older one. And we've got Windows 7, Vista, Windows XP, or Windows 2000. So this particular computer uses Windows 7. So we'll click on Windows 7. Now, while we're just waiting for the computer to do all its installation stuff, it will come up and it says, do you want to allow the computer to make the changes to this computer? Do you want to allow the following program to make changes to this computer? And that says there, Silicon Laboratories VCP driver for Windows. And we say, yes. We do want it to make the changes, so we do want it to install the software. So you'll see that it then comes up with install the software, and it's simple as saying next. And it says, welcome to the Install Shield wizard for Silicon Laboratories VCP driver for Windows. And we just hit next. There's a license agreement which says that you won't sue them if it kills your computer, I guess. I don't know. But we always do the accept. If you're interested, you should read that, make sure you understand it. 99% of people don't. These license agreements are really just about protecting everybody involved, apart from you, of course. Anyway, so we hit next. Says then where you want to install it in your computer. If you want to install it in somewhere special, choose it. If you don't, just hit next. And then it says, click install to begin the installation. So I'm just going to go install. So technically you can just go through and click next pretty much all the way through until you hit the install, and then it will install the driver for the USB. Now the USB, just while that's happening, the USB is the bit that plugs into the computer. It's just a little square thing which I'll show you in a minute. Now there's a little box here. We click it. It says launch the CP210X VCP driver installer, and we just say finish. Now what that will do is we just follow again and say install, and it says it's okay, and that's done. So now we've installed the driver for the computer, which is just the bit where you connect the cable. And now we go back to the main menu, and this is the first menu that came up, and then it says install software. So we say yes, I'll install software. Do you want to allow the program to make changes to this computer? Click yes, because it needs to be able to make changes. Sometimes that will come up, sometimes it won't. You can simply then just click the next box, which is enter the directory in which to install the TR log. You can change it if you want to put it in a particular location on your computer, or you can just click finish. If it comes up with anything of System 32 or any program is there, shall we replace it? Just say yes. because that means it's already been installed for some other program. So you can either replace it or choose not to. I normally just replace it because this should be a later version. And it says the TR log installation is successful, so we click OK. All right. So now we can just close that down. And we can close that down because we're actually finished installing the software. So we've installed the USB driver and we've installed the software. And now if we go to the Windows symbol on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, which is just a start, and then we can say all programs, and you'll see in there's a TR log, which is the name of the software for the logger. So you select TR log and TR log. It will always come up with the invalid port number when you first start it because we haven't set it up. So you just click OK. Now this is the screen for the logger. Right, so this is the screen that you would normally work with. Now, this interface with a sticker on it that says do not remove this until you have installed stuff and read the instructions. Pull the cover off, and that's a USB connection. So I'll just make it a little longer. Now I'll plug that into the USB port on the computer. Now the computer is now saying on the bottom right hand side, installing device driver software. Now this is what we've already put into the computer, but now it said, oh, I need to put in this driver to meet this interface. Now, just leave it go. When this comes up with another message, it says Silicon Labs CP210X USB to UART bridge, and it says right in the end of that, COM6. Now this is important. You need to write that down. So write down COM6 or whatever number comes up for your computer. And it says under that, the device driver software installed successfully. Now, we get the logger. On the side of the logger is a little interface plug. This particular logger has a little plug. Other loggers in our range have different methods. So I'm going to plug that into the computer. So that's connected. Now we're going to focus on the software. Now remember you wrote down COM6, which is what this one came up with. So I'm going to go up to the top here. The third tab across says COM7, and that's the COM port that the computer has installed the software to. So you just click that, open it up, and it says COM port setting, and you can select a port number. You can go up to select 6, or you can come down to select whatever. So if we go up and we select 6, which is what our computer said it was on, don't change anything else, and just click OK. Now you'll notice that immediately up here on the screen it says previous in red, an ID number equals, and it says 3 records, rate 000001, and unit is C. So what's happened now is that logger has already got some records in there, which is the test records that's done in the factory just to make sure everything works, and its ID number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's not much use to anybody. So what we do now is we go up to the 4th tab across the top, which is logger set. Now that brings up another screen. Now, on the right-hand side of that screen is the logger's time settings. So the logger's clock setting. So we've got logger date and we've got the logger time. Just click OK in that window, and this is something you should do every time. And what that does is it synchronises the logger with your computer time, as long as your computer time's correct. Now, we go down 2 windows, and there's an identifier window. It says logger's ID setting. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in there now. So that's not much interest to me. So if I'm putting this in the fridge downstairs, I might say it's the HLP test 1. Well, HLP test. And I go OK. And now when you hit OK, it puts it into the logger. Okay, so the other things we've got to do now is we come up to the left-hand side of the window and it's got sample points. Now this is how many readings that you want to take with this logger. So it'll normally come up with the maximum the logger can take, so you don't have to worry about that too much. The next window down is the sample rate in hours, minutes and seconds. So the sample rate is how often you want the logger to take a reading. So if you've put it into a fridge or a vaccine fridge or whatever, and you want to record the temperature, you might say, well, gee, I don't really need to know the temperature every second. I might want to get a reading every 10 minutes or every 30 minutes or whatever. And you just change it. So it's hours, minutes and seconds. And you can just up and down. So there, I can put it up to 4 minutes, 10 minutes. Right, so that's 10 minutes. So it's 0, 10, 0. That's 10 minutes. Now for a test, for us here today, what I'll do is I'll just make it 2 seconds. I'll change the minutes down to 0. So I'm going to set it at 2 seconds. Now, I've got this button here, which is the immediate, it's start mode, and it's set at immediate. Now, that means that when do I want the logger to start taking these 8,000 readings that I've set. So I can have it immediately, or I can have it a scheduled start, so I can make it start tomorrow morning at 3 o'clock, I can make it start in 30 minutes or whenever, or I can have a key start. Now the key start is there's a push button on the front of the logger that we can just push because it says start and stop here. So if we push that, that's key start, will enable it to start and stop. So yes, we'll make it key start. Some loggers have more than one channel, so the alarm settings down here. We've got air temperature, is the only one we've got, and we can set an alarm. So we won't worry about setting an alarm just for this test, but it's easy enough to set high and low alarms. Now, when you're finished deciding how you want the logger to work, and you've set up at least the sample rate, it's got to be some number in hours, minutes or seconds. And just to give you an idea, it's even a small low-cost unit will take 8,000 readings. If you set it to 10 minutes, you'll get 80,000 minutes, which is like over 1,000 hours. So you can take quite regular readings and still have plenty left in these loggers, especially if you just download them every month or so. So just to double check, just to fine tune it before we go off, is the logger clock settings on the right hand side of that window should be clicked OK. You can do it again, it doesn't matter how many times you do it. You can set the ID of the logger. And then on the left hand side we need to have some number of sample points. You can leave that at any large number. The sample rate has to be greater than 0, and you've got to select a start mode. This time we're going to use key start. That's all you really need to do. Now when I click OK at the bottom of the screen, what it does is it sends that information to the logger. Now if we look up here on this logging screen, we've got the IDs now HLP, we've got 0 records, but the rate is 000002. So I've just set it for 2 seconds, and the unit is C, so it can be centigrade or Fahrenheit. Now nothing's happened with that logger because we set the start mode as start, key start. So what happens now is that if I push the start button, the display will come up and it'll tell me that the logger's working. If I then push and hold the start button, the REC light at the top comes up, and if you can see that flashing, and the word REC comes up in the display just above the temperature. So now you know that that's recording. So you can go and put that into any fridge or wherever, and it will just continue to record. So if you're out on site, you could have one of these things in a toolbox, already programmed up, ready to go. You don't need a computer, and you can start it by simply pushing and holding the start button, and it will then start running the program and taking recordings and storing them from what you've set up on the computer in your office maybe. So if you put this in a fridge, it will then be recording. You can see the temperature here at the moment, it's 28.8 degrees, so that's quite warm. I'm just talking while we let that run for a little bit, and I'll let it run for another 10 or 15 minutes and then I'll come back. Thanks.